because I'm assuming you came here because you already have an idea of what your passion is. So you want to go to the next level of turning your passion into profit. And so that's the session for today. How then do you turn that passion that you already have? How do you turn it into profit? And of course, just not to be too assumptive, where do you start from? So the passion is, some people say, that thing which you can do without having to be paid. You know, if the salary was the same for everybody, and there's this particular thing that you are told, you choose what you can do, don't worry about the pay, don't worry about you know, the perks and everything. What is it that you can do without having to be paid, that you can do for free? That is your passion, that which you're willing to do without even having to be paid for it. But some people also call it a hobby. You know, that thing that you just do in your pastime and you just find joy, you feel rejuvenated when you're doing it, that is your hobby. But you can also find that you can draw, there's something that you're very good at. We call them talents. Like you can perform and people just think, wow, how do you do that so easily? And someone else feels like it's really, really difficult to do. That's also a place that you can consider to turn that into a profit. But also you might find that there's a pain that maybe you went through at some point in your life. I've seen some people who maybe they went through pain of maybe trying to lose weight, pain of either trying to, you know, do something. And then when they got a breakthrough, they're turning their pain into profit, because now they're teaching other people how to overcome the same challenge, how to get through the same experience. And then from there, they're actually making money. But some people actually turn their practice into profit. Let's say there's something you've practiced over time and you're now good at it. Not necessarily that it was out of your passion initially, but because somehow life exposed you to it, life exposed you to do something repeatedly until you became so good at it, and you find that actually you can earn profit out of it. So you can earn profit from your passion, from your hobby, from something that you're performing very well at, from your talent, from your pain, from your practice. So that which you could consider is your cup of tea, as we call it. But as you consider all those different things, your passion, your hobby, your talent and everything, for it to become profitable, you have to consider the optimal business opportunity for you, okay? So it is not just about your passion. It will not become profitable until there is a demand for that passion. And that is now where we're bringing in the issue of the sweet spot. When you find your sweet spot, because now that brings in a business model to your hobby or to your passion, that's when you start making a profit out of it. So this is the intersection between your passion or your talent or whatever you want to call it, but with the capacity and the competency to deliver it. If you're passionate about something, but you have no competency to deliver it, then you cannot make profit out of it. If you're very good at it, you're passionate about it, but you do not have the capacity to deliver, it means it cannot become a thriving business. So let's say you're good at baking cakes, okay? But you have only a capacity to bake 1 cake per day. That is your capacity, or maximum capacity is 2 cakes a day. It means that business cannot grow. It cannot be scaled because of limitation in capacity. So you have to be able to consider all those factors, but ultimately, are people willing to buy your product? Are people willing to buy your passion? Because if it's only you who appreciates your passion and you cannot sell it to someone else, it is not a business. It is not yet a business. So you can use your talent, use your skills, and use available resources to start and turn your passion into profit. Okay. I like making things practical, and to go through this session, I thought of using my journey of turning one of my hobbies or passion into profit. I realize I have a couple of passions, but let me look at how I turned my hobby into a business. And I'm taking the case study of Maua and More. For those who do not know Maua and More, it's a business that came out of my passion. I started. I found myself at 9 years old liking to pot plants. I just used to like getting a plant, put it in a pot, and see it grow and see it, you know, thrive. And at that young age, it was just there, just having fun, But it's about 6 years ago that actually I took that passion and I turned it into a profit. And so through that experience, I have like 10 steps that I can walk you through so that you can also see how then do you identify. Now, the procedure I'm going to go through is more assuming that you're having a product in mind, but also I'm going to bring in examples of how you can also turn a service, a passion that is not product related, a service into profit. Now the pictures here are all from More and More so that you can see how the business has been going from wherever it started, and as the journey continues, you're going to share with me. At the end of it, I'm going to answer any questions that you may be having. So we're going to go through the 10 steps of turning your passion into profit. The first step is to package your passion rather. If you're not able to put it into something that you can give someone, then it means you cannot make it, you cannot turn it into profit. It cannot be profitable. So you have to, once you've identified your passion, find out how can I package it, how can I present it, how can I give it to another person, okay? How can I be able to market it? And yesterday was another session where we were being told about the 4 P's of marketing. Some of the things you have to consider as you're packaging your passion to be able to trade, what product is it that you're going to sell? Or what service is it that you're going to offer? How much are you going to sell it at? Okay, because if it doesn't have a price, are you going to give it for free? Then that means it's not a business, it's not profitable. How are you going to tell people about it? That is what we call promotion. How are people going to be aware of your product? Someone said that the best known product sells more than the best product. You can have the best product, but no one knows about it, okay? So it is the best known product that sells more than the best product. So be aware of that. And where are you going to sell this thing? Are you going to have a physical place where you're going to sell it? Are you going to sell it online? If you're going to sell it online, which platforms are you going to use to sell your product? So you have to have those things in mind as well. You have to monetize your passion, okay? It will not become profitable if you cannot attach money to it. You cannot attach value to it. So you have to determine how much you're going to sell your product or service. But as you determine the price, one of the things you have to consider is how much did it cost you to put it together? Because you don't want at the end of the day to not to make a profit. A profit only happens when the selling price is more than the cost of putting the thing together. And I've seen most of the businesses that I've interacted with, someone will go and buy, let's say you go and buy something at 5,000, okay? And then you say, okay, fine, I'm going to sell it at 2,000. So you've made a margin of 2,000. That margin of 2,000, I'm going to sell it at 10,000. So you look like you've made a margin of 5,000. But that margin of 5,000 is not your profit, because you have to consider the cost of that thing that you bought, but also your time that you've put into going to buy that thing, your airtime, your cost of like where you're storing the whole thing. So most of the time, I find many people looking at, I have sold something and I bought it at this much, the difference is my profit. No, the difference is just the margin that you've made. Your profit comes when you've looked at your overheads, you've looked at your own time, because some of us entrepreneurs don't pay ourselves. You've looked at the cost of other operational costs that you have together. It's only then that you can be able to determine, is my product profitable or not? But as you determine the price, there are many other factors to consider. If there are other people selling the same thing, it might be a common product, that it means that you cannot sell it too expensively. Something like water. If everyone is selling water at 1,000, for you to sell your water at 1,500, there has to be something either that you've added to it that makes it different and unique from everybody else. Otherwise, if the price is already sealed by the market because it's a common product, then it means you have to go back and find out how then can I make the same thing cheaper so that I can still make a a profit. But if it is a rare product in the market, then it means you have you have the leeway to actually make bigger profit, because it is scarce, and so you don't have someone else to compete with you in the price. But the whole subject about pricing is really deep and wide, but I'm just telling you, you have to consider the factors that go into you setting a price for your product, even for your service. When you those here who are not selling a product, they're selling a service, how do you determine your time? Are you going to charge for the time, or you're just going to charge for a package? All those different things have to be considered. Brand your passion, okay? A brand is made up of many different things. It is not just a logo. But even where your business is located makes a difference, because how do you want people to associate the product you're offering, the service you're offering, with the location of where it is? If people came, let's say you are having a restaurant, and when people come to your restaurant, they have to pass through ditches and pass through, you know, like running water and things like that. It's not a good image for your business. So you have to consider where your business address is going to be. Of course, if it is online, if your business is online, then still you have to choose the online platform you're going to use. Is it resonating with the kind of business that you're offering, the service that you're offering? Formalize your business. If you have a good business, you have a passion that you want to turn into a business, it will not be until you formalize your business. Formalizing means you have to go and register that business, okay? But maybe before you register the business, normally it's advisable to have a test how do you say? You have some people who are giving you feedback. Are they willing to buy your product? Are they willing to buy your service? So that when you know that there's potential for that business, there's potential for that product, there's potential demand for that service, then you can formalize your business. I had a friend who, not a friend, someone gave me someone's contact, and I was going to meet up with them. So the business name they gave me is on the business card is different from when I went to meet them. They were giving me a brochure with different details. And so I asked her, how come your business name you're giving me is different? Then she said she had a business that she was running for 3 years and a particular name. But when she needed, I think, to do something, when she went to register the business, she found someone had already registered the business name. And so she couldn't use the business name. So she had to create, she had to register another business name, and now start telling our clients that, you know, this business that used to be known as this and this is now known as this and this. And for 3 years, she had already built a name for her business, but she had never formalized her business. Now, there is what is called business name registration. You can just go and register your business name, not necessarily that you're going to register for taxes and things like that, because that's what people fear, registering for taxes and everything. But once you've decided your business name, you can go and make a business name reservation from Uganda Registration Services Bureau, and it is not expensive to do that. You can do a name search online from the URSB portal, and you see if that name is not there, the name that you have, book that name, register it so that no one else can register it. There are some people who actually just go and register names randomly because they know someone will want that name later on, and then maybe you have to now buy the name from them. So once you've identified your business name, register that business name so that no one else takes that business name. After you've registered the business name, you'll now go into those decisions of, do you want to register it as a sole proprietorship? Do you want to register it as a partnership? Do you want to register it as a limited company? Now, those are other details that you have to go into. But once you've decided the name for your business, part of your branding is having the business name that is only for you. You need to have marketing collateral for your business, okay? You need to have a business. If someone asks you, how do I contact you later? One of the places when I was starting earlier on, I went for an exhibition, and many people were like, give me your business card. And some people are not buying that time, but they were just asking for business cards. Do you know some people called me a year later, said, oh, I'd misplaced your business card, but I got it, and now I want to do ABCD. So the card is a piece of your business that someone can go with. If they're not able to transact with you at that particular time, they can transact with you later on. Look at other cheap marketing collateral that you can do for your business. Define your unique selling point for your business. Define what your unique value proposition is for your business. There's so many people, for example, for my plant and flower business, there are many people who are doing potted plants. But then what makes Maua and More different? What makes Maua and More stand out? So you have to look for a way to position your service and say, my service, yes, the other people offering the same service in the market, but mine is different because of A, B, C, D. My product is different because of A, B, C, D. That is what differentiates you, and that's what makes your brand stand out. But as I said earlier, the best known business sells more than the best business. You have to spread your passion. Let people know about your passion. But your product might not be meant for everybody. So who is your target market? Who is your target customer? And where are they found? Because if you know where they are found, then you're going to take the message there. You're going to spread the information about your business to them. Use the available opportunities. There's now social media. Actually, my More and More business started from social media. It just started by posting pictures. I just used to take photos. When a flower blooms, because some flowers don't bloom every day, some bloom once a year, others once in 6 months. So I just used to have a collection of plants on my phone. And I was just sharing them online. And then one day someone asked me, do you sell plants? And of course I wasn't selling plants. I was just having fun with my plants. And I thought, maybe I can think about it. And so I thought about it after a while, and I went back and I replied and I said, yes, I sell plants. And when I said, yes, I sell plants, I started packaging my passion. So one of the things that I started doing was, because I already had the plants in my garden anyway, so what I had to do, I went and bought pots. Actually, my initial capital, if I think about it now, was only 300,000. So the first one was going to buy the pots for me to pot the plants. So I initially didn't start by buying the plants. I just started by buying the pots. So I bought the pots and planted plants from my garden. And then the other thing that I spent money on, which is now into branding, I bought a logo. Now I went online and created a logo for Maua and More that was just unique for Maua and More. I wanted something that is unique. You can see it in the banner behind there. That logo for Maua and More, I actually bought it. Okay, so I think it's called Logoni or something like that online, where you can make your own logo. So I created the leaves and everything, and then chose the font for the name Maua and More. And then of course it had a watermark from the site. So you have to pay for it for them now to give you the logo in different versions, in PNG, in JPEG. So they give you the logo in 3 formats. So I bought the logo. It was less than 50,000 then. So those were part of the first things that I did. So I had a logo. So every time I'll post online, of course, now I'll attach my logo to my page. When I opened the social media page, I had a logo on the page. And so now the name Maua and More has actually just stood out by itself. And many people don't actually even know that I own the business. But that is now the power of branding, so that the business is not you. The business can be able to stand alone as its own personality. Okay. And yes, so to spread your passion, you can use social media forums, as I told you. You can use when I was starting from home, of course, it was my neighbors who are buying the plants. So I had the plants at home, and so some people would come home and buy. And initially I took the plants outside in the perimeter wall outside. So people who are passing would come and buy. So my first customers were actually my neighbors. Now, eventually, of course, I moved from my neighbors and I went online, and the story continues. So you have to find a way for those people who do not have a product that you can post a picture of, like in the case of Maua and More. You can actually share your knowledge online, okay? You can build a great brand by just sharing your knowledge online. One of the other passions that I have is sharing knowledge. And I share knowledge by writing, I share knowledge by talking like I'm doing right now. I just enjoy sharing knowledge. And one of the things that I did earlier on when I had some free time on me was to write online. And I started by writing on Facebook, and I created the Accountancy and Business Clinic Facebook page. And I'll just write about, because I was doing a lot of business mentoring, And I'll go to a business owner and I'm finding they have this particular challenge. I go to the next business owner, they have more or less the same challenge. And so over time, I realized it's like some common challenges that were going through the same small and medium enterprises. So I realized I go to a customer and I talk to that customer, and the next time I go to another business, talk to that business. But there are many other people there with the same challenges that may not be able to meet me. Actually, they don't even know me. So when I started posting online, I realized that I could share the knowledge beyond the one-to-one customer that I was engaging with rather. When I started posting online on the account in the business Facebook page, I actually started getting clients who are requesting for advice. The advice I was giving them online, they say, oh, can you come? I was giving my information for free, of course. But like, can you come and train us in this? Can you come and help me set up the system? Can you come and do this? So I started now turning the other passion of sharing information into profit. I started being invited to talk to people, and I'll be paid to talk to people, or being paid to train. And some people now ask me to write articles, and I'm paid to write some of these articles. So there are different ways you can turn either a product, which if your passion is a product-based passion, into profit by sharing it online. But also if your product is a service-based passion, then you share the knowledge. Because when you do content sharing, people see that you're knowledgeable, see that you're credible, and that's when now they engage you. So there are different things you can do. You can use, there are different modes that you can use for blogging. You can blog on Facebook, you can blog on LinkedIn, you can create your own blog. But for you to grow, you have to build a network for your passion. Okay? Someone said, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you have to go with other people. Now, if you want to grow your business, if you want to grow your passion, it is very hard for you to grow it by yourself, single-handedly. So what I recommend is to join a group of other like-minded people, either with the same passion, with the same drive, things like that. And when I was starting out more and more initially, I was just posting on my Facebook page. And then one time, one of my clients, I'm talking about spreading your passion, telling everybody who is willing to listen, to hear. So one time I had this client who I was setting up a financial system for. And as I was sitting there setting the financial system for them, we got talking. And I was, I can't remember why I ended up, we're talking, and then I told her, I have a passion for gardening, and there was someone who was linked up to share plants, but they were not forthcoming. And then she told me, there's a group online called the Backyard Gardeners on Facebook. You should go and join it. At that time, I was just new to Facebook. Now, going back still, Facebook is not just for, of course, initially when Facebook came, people used to think it's just for idlers, it's just for, I don't know, it was not like really productive. And I remember I was one of those people who told my colleagues that for me, I'll never join Facebook. I'll actually join Facebook when I have something to sell. And true to that, I never joined Facebook until 1st of August, 2014. And why did I join it on 1st of August, 2014? Is because that's when I started to sell the plants online. And so when I joined Facebook, it meant that I was new. I didn't know how to go around the whole thing. And so initially when I joined, I wanted to join to set up only the More and More Facebook page, because I said, for me, I'm not very social, so I have nothing much to talk about on Facebook. I just want to show my flowers and sell my flowers. But I discovered that I cannot set up a Facebook page for the business without a person. I had to have a personal account, then I set up a Facebook page. So I set up my personal account, and then I set up the Facebook page for More and More. Now, when I set up my personal account, there are those people telling you, welcome to Facebook, welcome to Facebook. Then later on, I'm seeing people are in groups, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how people go about joining groups and things like that. But because I'm very inquisitive and everything, I'll go to Google and I search what are groups and how do you join them. So when this lady told me there's so the first group that I joined was a business networking group, which was called, that time it was called, it had a funny name that is different from what it has right now. Right now it's called FWWD or something like that. And so I joined, that was the first Facebook page that I joined. And when I went there, people were busy selling every day. From morning to evening, someone is posting either shoes, posting clothes, posting a lot of stuff. And they were just talking about selling, I'm selling this, I'm selling this. Then one day, for some strange reason, I don't know, maybe by inspiration of the Holy Spirit, I posted there and I said, so you guys are busy selling, but do you know if you're making a profit or not? And then I said, you know, the things you have to do, you have to have your records for sales, you have to monitor your expenditures, you have to do ABC. They had like a 7-point suggestions of what they should do. And one of the people in the group, I think it was John Mugenzi, who said, can you be writing and telling us like how to run our businesses, like regularly, like on a weekly basis? And at that time I said, okay, I think I have time on my hands. So I said, okay, I'm going to be writing every Monday. And I started writing every Monday about aspects of your business, focusing only on accounting, finance, and general business management. And I started writing every Monday. Every Monday I was writing. Even if it's like it's 9 in the night and I haven't written, I'll sit up first and say, no, I have to write the post for today. That's the dedication I had to writing on that page. And so that page has actually gone and birthed my consultancy business. That's now the other angle of passion. So the group I joined was just that one. So when I was talking, and this client that I was setting up the accounts for, I met her from that group. And so she told me about this other group for people who love plants. It's called the Backyard Gardeners. And so I joined the Backyard Gardeners group and I started posting my flowers. Yeah, I posted the flowers and every day I'll post a flower. And then I started running a series called the Plant of the Week. So I'll run a Plant of the Week like that. And so one day, I think the administrator for the group, Diana, said, I think we can have they're going to have what are they going to have? They're going to have a show, a flower show at the museum. So they requested me to exhibit. And I was like, oh, no, Mia, I don't have, something nice to exhibit. So the first year I passed, I didn't exhibit. I feared to exhibit. So, but what I did, because I had met these people virtually, I had never met them physically. So when we had the first show at the museum is when I went, and now it was nice meeting people physically, people you had just met on Facebook. I started building rapport and networking with them. And then later on, the next year, 2015, is it 2015? Yes, they had now the Backyard Gardeners show. And no, the 2015, they still had another show and I didn't attend. Then 2016, April, they had the Backyard Gardeners show. And I attended. That was the first show, the first Backyard Gardeners show in Uganda, and I attended it as well. And my stall for More and More was the first stall at the Sheraton. And it was fun, just, selling the plants, talking plants the whole day. I gave out my business cards, they got finished. I ordered others and we sold. And so that first day of being outside, that day, we made sales of 700,000. I remember, yes, 700,000. But funny enough, the cost of doing all that, paying for the booths and everything was also 700,000 when I put everything together, transport and everything. So it was like, I just, broke even. I didn't make a loss, I didn't make a profit. But that experience that actually people were excited about my plans gave me that, that desire to continue. And I'd done the business cards, I'd done the pull-up banners and everything. And so I said, this thing is fun and I need to continue with it. And of course, now when I came back later on is when I started thinking, I should make this thing more serious and take it to the next level, make it into a business. So what I'm trying to say is when you network with other people, even if they're with the similar passion as you, it helps you to grow your passion. It exposes you. Initially, I thought I love plants, but when I met these other people, I realized there are people who love plants more than me. I thought I love plants, I don't really love plants. And it challenges you. It challenged me to improve. It challenged me to think bigger. It challenged me to think far. But as you're building a network for your passion, don't just connect with people who are the same as you, in the same business as you. You can learn a lot from people who are in the different types of business. And that is what we call social capital. You'll find the first people who will buy your service, the first people who will buy your product are people who know you. I still remember the first lady who bought my potted plants in 2015. Yes. She was a cell member. We have what we call our church, we have a fellowship that we meet in their homes. And so one of the first person to buy was a cell member. So it is someone who knew me, who, could risk doing what? Could risk buying the plant from me. And even later on, when I started the trainings, it is the people who know me who would actually be willing to subscribe to the trainings. So it is your network that will actually be your first customers initially, and then they spread to other people and also bring their friends and bring their friends and bring their friends, and eventually it grows. Eventually it grows. So number 6, you have to get mentorship for your passion, okay? As I told you that I loved potting plants and everything, I'm an accountant by profession, so I am not a horticulturist. Horticulturalist, that's what they call it. And so gardening has just been out of, trial and error and everything. So I'll pot a plant and it dies. Another time I pot the same plant, it thrives. So later on I discovered there are people who actually have studied how to do these things. There are people who have the expertise for it. There are people who've been trained for that. So I sought out other gardeners, the senior people who've been in the business for a long time, and I sought their advice, how do they go about the different things. Okay, so look for the passion that you have, the direction you've taken, whether it's for service industry or whatever industry. You have to look for other people who have gone before you so that you find footsteps to follow. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. If someone else has already gone through the same challenge, the same experience, then your journey becomes shorter. You learn from their mistakes and you build up, instead of going through all the mistakes again and falling down and standing up again. You start from where they have already set a good place for you to continue. So you can learn from other people. You can learn from your competitors, but don't restrict your mentors to people with the same passion as you. As I already mentioned earlier, you'll find that there is transferable skills across the different industries, across the different sectors that you can borrow from and you can learn with. But sometimes also it reaches a point in business when you can feel overwhelmed and you're failing to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So when you have a mentor, it's easy to have a sounding board. It's easy to share challenges with them, and they'll actually encourage you and they'll tell you, even as we went through that, this is how we overcame it. But if you're on a lonely journey, it's easy for you to despair if you're walking by yourself. So it's good to seek mentorship for your passion, for your business. Hire passionate people. Have the people with the right skill set from the word go as much as you can. Of course, this is a challenge for small businesses, but as Jim Collins in his book, Good to Great, says, if you want to build a sustainable business, you have to hire the right people, get the right people on the bus, as he calls it. But once you've got the right people on the bus, put them in the right seats in the bus. It's not just enough to have people in your business, but you have to make sure they have the right skill set. Normally, as you're starting, most of us start from home. When I started from home, of course, I didn't have employees initially. I was potting the plants in my free time. In the evening after work is when I would pot the plants, and I will sell them over the weekends when I'm going to go to work. So initially, I had to see, okay, then how do I, work this business out? From home, I'll tell my house help, these are the plants that need watering every day. These are the ones need watering once a week. These are the ones need this kind of thing. So she was helping me, and I really didn't have a skilled person. But when I opened the shop, I realized, I need someone to be able to sell. I need someone to be able to talk to the customers. I need someone to be able to do what? To run the shop, because I still had a job to go to. But when you're hiring, as I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, you find that the business initially at an early stage, if it's just growing from home to the next level, you may not be able to afford very experienced people. So you have to consider hiring within your means, okay? You can't, if you decide to hire an accountant, let's say, for example, for your small business, you may not pay them the same salary that an accountant in a big firm is being paid. One, your business is small, so the transactions are small and the challenges are small. A big business is different. So when you're hiring, hire within your means, but also be aware with what you need so that you're not getting you're not getting an overqualified person for your position, because they'll also be demotivated and demoralized. they will not feel challenged enough. Barter trade for some of the services that you cannot afford. In case you're not able to afford, for example, an accountant, how can you get the service of an accountant, but maybe barter trade the service, barter trade, give them something in lieu of a regular salary. You can also delegate some of the responsibility when you've hired people and you've got competent people. Instead of doing everything yourself, you have to make sure that you train them to do some of the things that are not so strategic, so that you, the business owner, you are able to work on your business, to look at the strategic way of taking your business to the next level. Stay involved in the aspects of the business that you love most, so that you're enthusiastic. You're enthusiastic about it. Then the other parts that you're not so, they are still necessary for your business, but you're not so enthusiastic about them, get someone else to do those parts. But you have to hire people to work with you. Initially, you might be one person, but if you want your business to grow, you have to go beyond one person. Because a business cannot be scaled if it is just one person. Even if it is in service business, initially, like as a consultancy, you'll find that you start by yourself, you're the only one who is able to do what you're doing. But what you have to do is to work a strategy of what do you call them? Having someone to understudy you, having someone that you're mentoring, that they can grow into the role and support you as your clientele grows. Continuously improve your passion. That's step number 8. Look for ways to improve what you're offering, your product, your service, that you're not just the same day, yesterday, today, and forever. Amen. Pain is there, change is the only constant. If you don't change, you're going to be left behind. So always strive to make it better, make your product cheaper if you can, or offer your service faster if you can. Just keep on improving, but be good at what your business does. Because if you're not good at what your business does, you'll find a situation where your staff can put you at ransom. If I didn't know how to pot the plants, for example, initially the first employee that I had to teach them how to do the potting of the plants. I had to teach them how to do different things. So it's easy for you to mentor your employees when you have an idea of what needs to be done. But what your core business is, if you know how to do it very well, it's easy for you still be the authority in that business. But also, in case your staff, like small businesses, sometimes you tend to have high staff turnover. You will be the only constant. When the staff are going and coming, you are the only constant, which means you have to be good at your business so that you can mentor the next person and the next person who is coming. But to build a sustainable business, you have to keep on reinventing and bringing new services, bringing new products. And I hope I'm going to give you some examples of how I kept on building on my consultancy business. Expand your passion. Diversify and widen the range of your products and services. If you can see that picture there, that picture was taken on the 31st of July 2016. Yeah, I remember it was a Sunday night. And the next day is when we were opening more and more doors for the first time. Now, when I was starting from home, initially, remember my passion was just potting plants. So initially I was just putting plants in plastic pots and that's what I was doing. But then what happened is later on I saw some nice clay pots one day when I was shopping for the plants. I'm like, oh, how much are these clay pots? So I bought some for myself for home. And then when I posted the picture online, I realized people were like, oh, where did you get the pots? Can I get the pots? So I started also doing the clay pots as well. So now the potted plants that were plastic, some people prefer them in clay pots. And of course, later on, people wanted ceramics and went on and on. But then the people who, one day I had a stand that I bought for putting my plants at home because I'd ran out of space. So I wanted to have many plants in one place. So I'll do like a stand that can hold 5 plants together. And so I posted that online and someone asked me, someone said, I want a stand like that one. And so, yes, I looked for a welder to make a stand like the one I had. And yes, so I made the stand and sold it. And so every time I'll post a picture, someone else will order the stand. So I kept on now making stands. So they became additions to my product range, to my product offering. So initially it was starting with potted plants. but now it went to garden accessories. So the easiest way to grow and to expand your passion is to look for complementing products or complementing services that you can order, so that you're diversifying and spreading your risk. And the reason for that also is the concept of having multiple revenue streams. Because if you have one revenue stream and it is hindered, then what happens to you? Okay, so you have to find a way that your passion can grow and branch out to complementary products or services, and you diversify your product offering, so that in case one of your revenue streams in your business dries up, you still have other revenue streams dries up, continuing. For example, the potted plants have still been there even 6 years now on, but the clay pots, now we are not doing the clay pots. Because what happened, we were doing very high quality clay pots. We're using weather guard, using good quality pots. We had pots that were baked well. It's called, when they're called baked fired well, and we're using weather guard. But then people will go online for my Facebook page, get the designs, and then go get cheap pots and use cheap paint and sell the pots cheaply. So then they spoiled the market. And so I moved on from clay pots, then I went to ceramic pots. So if my product was only clay pots, it means right now I'll be out of business. But because I kept on expanding and expanding the product offering, the business has grown even to other more profitable options. So always look, you'll have your core business, your core service, but what are the other things, offshoots, that can bring you money? And sometimes you might find they bring you more money than the initial thing that you're doing. Change where necessary to adapt with the trends and the times. Different things come, different trends come. There's sometimes when things, this is the in thing, this is the whatever. So you have to know for your field, for your industry, what is the in thing, what is the current trend, and are you offering that which is the current trend? If I don't know, if it's something to do with color, something to do with theme, something to do with whatever it is, have you moved with the current trend for your passion? Because remember, that passion started from somewhere, but how it was so many years ago, the market may not be demanding the same packaging, the same way you're offering it now. So it means, therefore, you have to have grown your passion, you have to have grown your product offering and change with the time. So it means you're continuously learning. We call it in accounting, we have what we call the continuous professional development. And you have to keep on logging in, how have you continuously developed your product? If you do not, your profession rather, as an accountant, the same thing you have to adopt for your business. You have to always be keeping on the lookout to see what are the new trends and improve. And the 10th step is to professionalize your business. Professionalize your passion. I was trying to get something rhyming with passion. Professionalize your passion. Aspire to work on your business and not in your business. What I mean is, when you're working in your business, means you're the one who opens the door, you're the one who cleans the office or the shop and everything. You're the one who puts the plants, you're the one who does everything. Everything that needs to be done starts and stops with you. Which, of course, when you're starting out, that is the case. That will be what will be the actual scenario. But if you want your business to grow, you have to go beyond being the beginning and the end of your business. You have to be able to have other people to work with you. And that is only possible if you build systems, okay? You build a system, for example, for if you're a product-based business, what is your system for ordering inventory? What is the system for paying bills? What is your system for, invoicing your customers and collecting money from them? It is very key to have bookkeeping. If you don't have proper bookkeeping, you are not going to know if your business is profitable or not. You have to have a way of marketing. If you do not market your product, you will stay there with your stock and no one is going to buy it. If you don't market your service, no one is going to call you to offer the service to them. You have to have a way of selling. What is your process for selling? You have to have someone sweeping the floor. What I mean by that, there are so many different things that are involved in a business that you have to make sure that there's someone to do that thing, okay? And if there is no one to do, it is you who has to do it yourself. Do some of these things yourself. Like now for me being an accountant, it was easy for me to keep on doing the bookkeeping bit of the business. But later on I had to train someone to be able to do that. Marketing doesn't come easy for me as an accountant, but what did I have to do? I had to learn how to do marketing. I had to learn how to do selling. I had to learn how to do a lot of different things because they're important for the business. But the beauty of learning them as a business owner, it means you can teach other people, okay? You can teach other people how to do it so that you don't have to be the one to do it. But when you have an idea of what needs to be done, then you can effectively supervise them to know that, okay, is it done properly or is it not done properly? So that way you end up growing a team that can grow with you and grow with the business. So do those aspects that you are able to, you have the inclination and the skill set to do. And then the other parts that you are not able to do, then you can outsource to other people if you can afford to outsource. But some of us, why I had to do a lot of social media by myself is because maybe I couldn't afford a social media person to do that. And so initially I had to do all the social media work by myself. Every single post I will do by myself. Everything, to think of what to post, which picture to post, what to write on the post, I used to do by myself. But now I'm so happy that one of my staff is able to support that. But now they had to be mentored into that role. And that's how now the business grows. So that I'm freed up to do other things and that I'm not doing everything by myself. So when you've identified the processes in your business, okay, then identify, these are the processes I need, then who is going to do A, B, C, D? The ones that you have to do yourself, then you have to do yourself. The ones that you can have other staff members to do, empower them, build their capacity to be able to do that. But make sure that there's no part in your aspect of your business that is neglected. Some things, now you've seen, those are the 10 steps of turning your passion into profit. But some of the things you have to consider, now that I'm assuming you've turned your passion into profit and now you have a business that is running, some of the things that you have to consider are these ones. Why I'm saying that is because there are so many people. I think the survey some years back said that Uganda is one of the most entrepreneurial countries. Yeah. So we have a lot of entrepreneurs and we have a lot of enterprises that are cropping up every day. But the mortality rate of the businesses we have in Uganda is also high. Okay. So they're saying that 90% of the businesses don't survive to celebrate their first anniversary. So it means only 10% of businesses survive the first year. Then out of those that survive, only 70% survive their third year or their fifth anniversary. So you can imagine the mortality rate is really high. And because I do business mentorship, from the businesses I've interacted with, some of these things, basic fundamentals, are the things that make them fall over. And one of the things that I see is failure for us to separate ourselves from our businesses. So you find because you're starting your business small, it started small, and so let's say I'm coming from work and I need to buy plants. Of course, naturally, what would I do? I'll get money from my purse, which is from my salary, of course, and I buy stock and I take to the business. But do I have a way of recording that, this money didn't come from the business, came from somewhere else, or how do I refund myself? But that is not possible if you don't have proper books of accounts. And one of the things that has helped me and will help you is to separate yourself from your business, that you treat the business separate from you. And the easiest and the best thing that you have to do is to open a business bank account. Because if you open a business bank account, it means that all the sales that come from the business go into that bank account. All the sales are going to that bank account. All the expenses come from the bank account to the business. Initially, when I was starting from home, of course, I didn't start by opening a bank account. So I'm just being as realistic as possible. So when I was starting out from home, I didn't start by opening a bank account. But what I did was every time, remember the first, how I know how much money I started with is because when I bought the first set of pots and I bought the logo, I recorded it down, okay? So how much did the pots cost me? How much did the logo cost me? When I got the first sale, I recorded it down. And I have, from the first sale that I made the first day, it was recorded down. And so so I'll keep on recording the money coming in, the money going out, the money coming in, the money going out. And what I did was to have an envelope because the business was just starting small and starting at that time. So I had an envelope where I will keep the money for the business initially. And then when I registered the business name, and because you can't open a bank account if you've not registered a business name. So when I registered the business name, now I was able to open a bank account. And therefore, I was able to do what? To start banking money directly. But even before I opened the bank account, I knew how much money is for the business. I knew how much money I have put in the business, how much money the business has generated from the sales, how much money the business has spent. The discipline of record keeping is very, very key. Now, once you have established the business and it's running, you have a business account, you have to have source documents. When people buy things from you, do you receipt it? Okay? If you sell something, you have to give someone a receipt. Because if you don't give someone a receipt, you not remember. I don't know, unless you're selling a couple of things a day, but when you're selling so many things, a receipt helps you later on to put your books in order, and you see what are your sales for that particular day, that particular week, that particular month, that particular year. If I ask you now, if you're in a business, how much sales did you make last month? Are you able to do that? But when you have the source documents, it's easy, especially if you're not an accountant, it's easy to put the documents together and give an accountant to compile and produce for you your financial reports. So the source documents will include receipts. The source documents will include invoices if you're going to sell some things on credit. The source documents will include local purchase orders if you do deliveries. The source documents include quotations if you give quotations. The source documents include payment vouchers, if you're paying people. And if you don't have these documents already, you'll find that you get a business opportunity, and then the documents are the ones that are making you not get the business. I know one of my friends who is also in the same business as me was telling me she failed to supply a company who wanted potted plants because they asked for an invoice and she didn't have an invoice. Can you imagine? She failed to make a sale just because she didn't have an invoice. And so for me, from earlier on, I knew I needed to have receipts, I need to have invoices, I need to have all these things in place. So there was this time I was online, and I got a message from someone. I'd posted pots, and so I got an inbox from someone who said, we need some pots supplied for around the swimming pool. And so I'm like, okay, so how many? At that time, I didn't know whether it's for the person's home or it's for a business. I didn't have an idea. They just said, we want pots to put, clay pots to put around the swimming pool. And so I'm like, okay, fine. So I asked them, okay, how many? Then they said they need, I think 10, was it 10 pots, 10 or 12 pots. And I'm thinking, wow, this person's swimming pool is big if it is for home. Because previously I supplied some pots for someone, I think 4 pots for a swimming pool. And so, so we went on with the conversation, and then he said, can you actually send me a quotation today? That same day, he wanted a quotation. Now imagine if I didn't have a system of raising a quotation, I'll just be fumbling around what to do. But already I had a system for raising a quotation. So I went I was doing, you can do these things, hard copies or soft copies. So I went and I raised a quotation and I emailed it to them. So he gave me the email address. Now looking at the email address, I saw it was Protea. I'm like, wow, okay. So Protea is ordering pots from me. And I was excited. Wow, I'm supplying a hotel. So they ordered. So they said, send me what did they send? The quotation. So I sent the quotation. After that, they sent me a local purchase order. After they sent me the local purchase order, they said, now you send us an invoice and you deliver the thing. So I told them when I was going to deliver. I was supposed to deliver, I think, within 2 weeks. Now, if you do not have good working capital, it means, therefore, you may not be able to do you may not be able to deliver on that offer, because for their policy, they pay on delivery. They're not going to give you money first. You go buy the pots, paint them, deliver them. No, they just wanted to deliver the pots. So it meant that we had to have the money to buy the pots, paint them, I think there were 12 pots, and take them to Protea and Tebe. Okay, so we reach Protea and Tebe, and at the gate, they say, okay, so we say we are delivering, and say, you have to have a delivery note. We don't receive things without delivery note. So you can imagine if I didn't have a delivery note. So we give a delivery note, and then they say, okay, fine, you have to give us the invoice because you don't pay cash. and we have to pay it in your bank account. So imagine this transaction. If I didn't have quotation, I didn't have invoice, I didn't have a delivery note, and I didn't have a bank account, how would I have done that transaction? But all these things were not done that time when we're having this conversation. The business had been prepared initially to be ready for that. And that's what I tell business people. Those people who don't want to register their businesses, don't want to formalize their businesses, I say, how far do you want your business to grow? If you want your business to one day grow away from home, out of home, you have to just have systems in place. You have to embrace formality. You have to formalize your business. You have to professionalize your business. Otherwise, you'll not be able to do business with the big companies, because that is how they do these things. So you have to have receipts. So the next thing is you have to make sure that all these sales that you get, they are banked intact. Why I'm saying that is because I've seen so many businesses, they make sales, but the sales are not banked. They're not banked intact. There's this client I was working with, and so I'm helping them set up their system. And so I sell QuickBooks accounting software. So I installed the accounting software for them. I showed the accountant how to enter the transactions and everything. So we've done transactions for 1 month. And so I went there, I'm saying, okay, so we're going to do bank reconciliation. They bring the bank statement to do the bank reconciliation. I'm looking at the bank statement, and they only banked like 3 million the whole month. But from their cash book, they made sales of more than 30 million. So I'm like, this month you made sales like 30 million. So how come your bank account has only 3 million going through it? Like, you see, now when people pay, we go and we use that money to buy raw materials to make it to the manufacturing company, to make the different things. Then again, we sell. So money doesn't have time to go to the bank. But what they needed, and even how I came to know them, is because they had to go borrow money for buying some machinery. But the bank could not give them a loan. You know why? Their bank statement was showing that they don't have the capacity to pay back a loan. Now, when you make your sales, when you bank your sales directly in the bank, it shows the bank that is your ability for cash flows. Because the banker will not come to your business to see actually how business works. The bank statement is what tells them your business potential. The bank statement is what tells them your liquidity potential. The bank statement is what tells them you have the ability to pay a loan or not. And so if you have proper books of accounts and you are banking all your sales intact, it means you're building your CV with the bank. And so when I say you bank all your sales, I mean that you cannot remove the money and spending. What I mean is, go bank the sales. But when you're withdrawing, it means you're withdrawing with a plan. So you're saying, okay, I need raw materials, I need to pay rent, I need to pay ABCD. So I am withdrawing with a purpose. And so it helps you with managing and the discipline of managing your cash. But also another beauty of having your sales banked intact. So some years ago, about 14 years ago, I think. Yeah, maybe about 14 years ago. So we need there's a publication that we do, and we needed a loan, because what was happening is the advertisers say, we are going to pay you when you have brought the book, the publication. And the printer says, no, we want you to pay for us to print. So you're like catch-22. You don't have the money to print because the customers haven't paid you. It was just a new business that we were starting at that time. So we're on catch-22. And so what we did, we're like, okay, we need some money to print. And at that time, we needed about 10 million. Because we had been banking diligently and we had been putting our books in order and everything. So we went to the bank and applied for an unsecured loan of 10 million. And you know, based on the books of account we provide them and our banking history, they gave us 10 million unsecured. You understand? But that would have been a hard thing to do if we did not have the discipline of good record keeping and good banking practice. Write down all your payments and drawings, because if you don't do that, you will not know when you have taken money from the business, when the business has taken money from you, and vice versa. It helps you to track and also helps you to separate yourself from the business. I normally advise people, if you're a business owner, assign yourself a salary. if you're the kind that keeps on drawing money for personal expenses. I've gone to some people's books and you're finding now they are sending the money to the wife, money to the child for the child's birthday, money for the whatever's, you know, in the books of the business. And you're looking at some transactions and you're thinking, what has this to do with the business? You're looking at things that someone has written in the books, like, this has nothing to do with the business. It is for the person. They were buying a shirt, they were buying a dress for a panjula or something like that. It should not be in the books of your business. What you have to do is assign yourself a salary, and you use that, you work on that salary. But of course, assign yourself a salary that the business can afford, so that you're not, you know, running the business down. So this particular person, I told them, why don't you assign yourself a salary so that we don't see all your home affairs in the business, you know? And then she said, no, my business cannot afford to pay me a salary. And at that time, I am looking at what he was drawing, and he was drawing on average 1.5 million from the business. Just that he keeps on removing here, removing there, but he was not putting it together. So I said, from my analysis, you keep on getting about 1.5 from your business, which means the business is able to pay you that 1.5. So you assign yourself 1.5 million for now, and you use that money and you see how you can handle, okay? So it is in writing down the expenditures that you can even track how your business is performing. Another thing that sometimes we fail to do is to not to value the non-monetary transactions. For example, when we're setting out one of the businesses, you start with your own laptop. Have you valued that you've given your business the laptop? Because that is a capital in kind that you put in your business. If you use your car for distribution or for buying stock for your business and things like that, have you noted that down? Because it means that there's some value in your business that is missing. So if someone was to value your business, they will not know that you have those assets, that your business is able to run because of those things that the business did not buy, but they were being used, your own things that the business was using to generate revenues. But as a business owner, one of the things you have to do is to be able to differentiate between your revenues and your profits. There's a difference between revenues and profits. Revenues are just the thing you're selling times how many units you have sold. The product times the product price times the quantity of the product that you've sold. That gives you your revenues, okay? Then when you have removed the cost of that product and your overhead costs for the business, that's when you made a profit. Otherwise, it is not a profit. And I'm going to show you shortly a cash flow dashboard that you have to have in your business. And one of the things that you have to do as a good business person when you've established your business is to file your returns and pay your taxes. Because you'll find that as your business grows, there'll be a time when now they're asking you for things like tax clearance certificates and things like that. And if you've never filed any return, you'll have a challenge with getting things like that. If you've opened your doors for operations, you have a trading license, you know, all those different things that are needed for a sound business to run. So when you're turning your passion into profit, it is more than just getting excited with your passion, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it. But with that responsibility is where growth comes and is where your business goes to the next level. So I'm going to give you time shortly for questions. If you have those who have questions, I'm going to just have a few slides to continue. So you have to monitor your dashboard. I know I like giving an example of if you have this very, very posh car, you know, like a very, very nice car, but you enter the car and there's no dashboard. You can't see the fuel gauge, you can't see the speed, you can't see anything in the car. How excited will you be to drive that car? You'll be hesitant because like, do I know if it has fuel? Do I know if it has a problem? You know, you have no idea. Now for our businesses, you have to find a way of knowing how your business is performing. And one of the things the accountant talk, I'm not going to go into details, I'm just mentioning them so that you can find out information about them later on. You have to know if your business is profitable or not. And what the accountants do is to generate what is called a profit and loss statement. That just tells you this is the sales you made, these are the expenses you incurred, and you made a profit or not. So when you have a profit and loss statement and you monitor every year, and every year you see, is your business growing or your business is not growing? It is only when you monitor a trend over time that you know that the business is growing or not. You will not know a car, you cannot know the progress of a car if it is on standstill. Until when you start moving, and that's when you know, okay, am I going at 20 kilometers per hour, 100 kilometers per hour, or whatever? So the rate of business growth is measured by your profit and loss statement. Another thing that you have to have in place, and especially in this season of lockdown and COVID and everything, is a cash flow forecast. Like you have fuel in your car, and that fuel informs you, I'm on quarter tank, how far can I go? How many days can I run? I'm on full tank, how many days can I run? In the same way with the cash that you have in your business. When you know where your business goes because you've been keeping good records, you will know the cash that I have now can take me for how long in my business? Can it take me for 1 week, for 1 month, for a couple of months? It's important to be aware of that. But also, when you're starting your business, it's advisable not to start by borrowing. Start with what you have. Start small. Because when you start by borrowing and you've not tested the business idea, the risk is very high because you have the pressure of making the profit, but also paying back a loan. So I always advise, if you're starting out your passion from small, start with the resources you have. Start with loan-free options. And then later on, you can, if you need to grow the business, you can borrow a loan. But when you're borrowing a loan, that's when you have to check your balance sheet and check, am I borrowing too much loan that my business cannot afford? Excuse me, because you can hear someone is very wealthy, but again, they don't have money. So how does it work? It's because the things that they acquired, they were mostly backed up by borrowing, so backed up by debt. So as a business, you have to have a healthy balance between what the business owns and what the business owes, so that you are not just, easily go into bankruptcy. I'm not going to go into detail on that because it's not a financial management session, but it's just something that I am just saying you as a business owner need to be aware. So I've taken you through the journey of Maua and Mo. It started from home, just by, potting a few pots and everything. Then I moved to Kensington. That was my first shop, a very small shop. It was an ATM booth where I started with, but I closed it last year, November. But now we are located in Garden City, Middle Parking. If you come to Garden City, don't go down to where Capital Shoppers is. It's on the Middle Parking where Mega Standard is at the exit ramp. That's where Maua and Mo is. So we sell potted plants, flower pots and stands, garden accessories, and everything to do with gardening. My dream and my aspiration is for it to be a fully fledged garden center, but it has started slowly, it has growing, and it is going to grow there. So for your business, you should reach a place where you can be able to have a flyer like that one, that you share with other people, that you can share on social media. You have to have a contact, you have to have, where you can be found. Something that tells about your business is one of the things that you need to have for your passion to turn it into profit. But I've talked so much about products, and there are people here who are more into service business. They're not into product business. Is it the same journey? More or less the same. One of the passion that I say that I have is sharing knowledge. And for my sharing knowledge, I've been sharing knowledge, of course, on Facebook and on LinkedIn. And most of my followers happen to be accountants. And I used to get a lot of, inboxes. Can you mentor me? Can you mentor me? Can you mentor me? But you can imagine the time that you're mentoring one person for 2 hours or for 1 hour. It is different from mentoring 10 people for the same 1 hour. So I took some time before I accepted the offer to do mentorship for accountants. But in 2018, September, I decided, you know what, let me have a go at this. Let me put together a mentorship program, and I invite accountants to come on board. And I was just like, okay, I don't know if it's going to come through or not, but there's no harm in trying. So I put up a flyer, and I called the project, the program, I called it Accountancy 360. And what I mean, why I call it Accountancy 360, I know the fee is 360, so some people think it's because the fee is 360, that's why it's called Accountancy 360. But it's called Accountancy 360 because my aim was to look at a holistic accountant, an accountant who is a complete person by themselves, but also has a skill set and the right tools to be effective. And so the first session that I sent out And that's something about your passion. You have to be willing to take the risk of testing your product. Have to be willing to take the risk to test your service. You might be shocked. You might be scared. Will this thing work out? But when you test it, and you might get a response that is very encouraging. So for this one, I was a bit scared. This is the current one running. But in 2018, August 2018, I sent out the flyer, and I was like, okay, God, if I just get 10 people, okay, for me to break even, because I needed to hire a venue and pay for my time and everything. For me to break even, I need just 12 people. I'm like, God, if I just get 12 people, I'm good. And of course, I sent out the flyer. The feedback wasn't so good. And yeah, like 1 week to the training, actually the last week, just before the training was going to be a weekend, I shared the power of networking again and bringing it back. I shared the flyer with ACCA, the networks. So when they shared it with the students, ACCA students and affiliates, I got quite a positive response. The first session that I held for the Accountancy 360, my target was at least 15 people. I got 27 people. And I was like, wow, I was like, okay, I didn't know it's going to be big like that. So I got 27 people. They filled the room to capacity that I'd hired. Anyway, the long and the short is that training that started in 2018 September has now been running. In 2018, I only ran one session. Last year, 2019, I ran 4 sessions of Accountancy 360. And this year, I've already ran so far 3 sessions. No? Yes, 2 sessions of Accountancy 360. So I've made it a regular session because I realized there was demand for it, there was need for it. And so it's become now a regular product that wasn't existing before. It's a product that didn't exist before September 2018. But I was daring to try, I was daring to start. What was interesting is when I did the first session, I should have put the flyer for the first session. I was trying to see how to excite people to come for it. And so I did that. There are free tips on, those are going to be a free session on QuickBooks accounting software. And so the first session, I'll do the session 1.5 hours. And then the last 30 minutes, I'll talk about QuickBooks. I'll take accountants through, how to set up a QuickBooks accounting system and how to use it and everything. And so the session runs for the program runs 5 sessions. On the 4th session, you know how you finish the session at 12 and you're telling everyone, okay, bye, have a nice weekend. And then guys are just sitting there looking at me and I'm thinking, okay, aren't you guys going? And they're not going, they're just sitting. I'm like, okay, is everything fine? Then someone says, now you've been giving us theory of QuickBooks. We are seeing how you're doing it on the screen and it looks like, it's something we want to do. But can we have a practical hands-on session, where we're actually entering the data and seeing the reports coming out? And I was like, okay, that will mean that I'll need to have a practice set, like the actual data for you to interact with. But I need at least 10 people for me to make a session just for QuickBooks. And I said, how many people are willing to come for that session? 10 people raised their hand. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. So we set a date. And in November, we ran the first accounting software training for QuickBooks. And now that's now another product that's developed out of another product, as you can see. And of course, the 10 people didn't come, all of them. I got 9 people, and still 9 was good for me because now being training the accounting software is really hands-on. And so it means if you have people whose understanding is different at different levels, so it was very, very engaging. So I was like, okay, 9 people, I think even was a lot for the session, but it stretched me. But I was like, you know what? Actually, it's something that I can do. It's something I wanted to do, but I'd never done it because of just thinking, you have an idea, but nothing brings it to the fore. So this group actually made me run a session that I had stopped running, I had not yet done before. And so I'm running the QuickBooks session and I was like, okay, I need the data set. I need, because it's one thing to say, then it's another thing to have the capacity to deliver. So I said yes to the training, but I didn't have the practice set. So I was like, God, where do I get the practice set? I didn't want to use my own data from my consultancy and my more and more. So I was like, where do I get the data set to practice? So I went online. Thank you, Mr. Google helps us, or Uncle Google, whatever you want to call him. So I go online, I'm like typing QuickBooks practice set. And I found there's a QuickBooks practice set on Amazon. And so I ordered, but I was looking the time between the order and the time when it is delivered, because this training, I only gave myself, I think, 2 weeks for the training to start. So I had to put everything together. And so I ordered, I think 1 week for me to get everything together. So I ordered and I paid for, it was an express option. From America, the thing was delivered by, what is that courier company? I can't remember the name of that courier company. But they delivered it within 3 days. You can imagine. They delivered it within 3 days. So I got it. I got it on a Thursday. Friday, I had to make the copies ready for the class that was starting on Saturday. It was interesting, but anyway, the short is it was delivered. But I'm just showing you that sometimes opportunities come in very subtle, very ways that are not like so obvious. Now, this other training, so this I'm just hoping for the service people. Now, for the first training, the QuickBooks, the Accountancy 360 training, the first session actually used to be the traits of the indispensable accountant. And one of the things that I was doing in that session, towards the end of the session 1, I talk about personal financial management, because I strongly believe that when an accountant has their personal finances sorted, they will not be tempted to steal money from the business, from the company. So one of the sessions I share my journey on, how I planned to move from employment to consulting. And so I was just sharing, how that journey was. And one of the things that I had to do is to prepare a reserve for that season. And so I was sharing, how to do planning, how to do budgeting, how to be able to have that reserve that you can actually step out of employment and go through there. But what I noticed after that session, there's so many people who are asking, how do I do this? How do I organize my finances? How do I know? How do I do the same journey as you did? And so I realized when a couple of cohorts, people came with that, so many questions about personal finances, I realized, what, this is actually a product that can be on its own, because a 30-minute session could not deliver and do justice to it. So I set up this year, so this one I introduced it this year, the journey to financial freedom. And those are the things that we cover in that one. And so the journey to financial freedom, I ran it in February. Yes, I ran it, the first one, I ran it in February, and the next one is running in July. If lockdown is going to be open, otherwise I'll do it online. And so you see how one product gives birth to another product, to another product, to another product. And this product that you're consuming today, which is turning your passion to profit, I hope you're noticing it is session 5 of the journey to financial freedom, turning your passion into profit. And I'm going to tell you a bit about that just shortly. Now, some of the people who come for the Accountancy 360 program, they're not accountants, they're business owners. And the Accountancy 360 focuses more on the accountant and how they can deliver on their role as an accountant. But then when the business owner comes, they're thinking of different things. They're thinking of break-even points, product costing, and things like that. So I have another session that is for management of business finances. This one was born out of the different people who call me to speak to them. I have different incubation centers and accelerators who call me to speak to them about management of business finances. So you have all these different people who have very nice business ideas. They have funding and everything. Money is not their problem. So they have funding, but the issue is how do you manage that money? And so this one has been packaged out of my speaking engagement to entrepreneurs, to small businesses. So I put together the different slides from my speaking engagements, became a course, which is the management of business finances. And if you're interested, if you will have turned your passion into profit by 14th August 2020, you're welcome. And we can have a conversation on how to set up the actual structures for your business. And so this one that you're attending today, on Monday, when I was doing the Accountancy 360 program, and as I told you, the last few minutes of the session talks about personal financial management. And one of the things that I tell them is sometimes when your salary is not enough, you have to look beyond your salary and see how to, to generate money from different sources and different streams. And I told them, one of the things that you can do is turn your passion into profit. And one person mentioned that, oh, I would like to know how to turn my passion into profit. That was Monday this week. But last week, I was talking to someone, I think she's in this forum, and I was telling her what I do and everything. And I told her one of the things that I do in the journey to financial freedom is talking to people about how they can turn their passion into profit. And then she was like, wow, that would be interesting to attend. And so on Monday, when this lady mentioned that she would like to attend the session, and last week someone else also mentioned about being interested in knowing how to turn their passion into profit, I said, wow, I think I already have a product to offer. And so on Monday evening, I got in touch with the person who is doing the, what is this thing? The flyer. And I sent him the picture and I gave him the details. And of course, Monday night, I had the flyer out, and Tuesday morning, I sent out the flyer on social media. And today, Saturday, you have attended the session. I'm just showing you that it is practical. It's easy to turn the different passions into training. One of the forums I shared this one, someone was making fun that I've turned my passion for teaching into profit. I had not quite thought about it, because most of the time when I share about turning your passion into profit, I normally use the Maua and More story. And so I was like, actually, yes. So you can turn different passions into profit. You can turn different passions into profit. So thank you very much. Those of you who've attended, thank you. Thank you very much. And I hope you benefited. And I'm going to give you a few minutes for question and answer. But before that, just a couple of slides. Now that you're ready to go and turn your passion into profit, what I'll just tell you and encourage you is to start small, okay? When you start small, the risk is small. So you start small, begin, and scale up later. When I started the trainings, this way I started with one training that has given birth to the different trainings. When I started Maua and More, you see that picture there was a picture of the pot outside my perimeter wall at home. That was before I opened the first shop. But I started from home, potting the plants from home. Then the compound got full, and that's when I ventured outside the compound and put them there, built the stands until I opened a shop. So you start small, test the idea, validate the idea, then you scale up later on. So when you go to Garden City now and find Maua and More Garden City, that is where it started, from home. Start simple. However big your vision is, start with the simplest aspects and then expand as you gain traction. When you start small, it doesn't mean that you're thinking small. It's just that you're willing to start. Then as the business goes, it gives you the feedback that, you know, I need to grow. And as a plant, normally we say the plant grows to the container that you put it. And then you can see the plant has outgrown the container, you take it to the next container, the next container. The same way the business grows and keeps on expanding, and you keep on taking it to the next level. Start slim. What do I mean by starting slim? Start with the ways that are cheapest for you to start, and then later on grow. As I said, I started with the resources that I had for Maua and More. I started with the plants I already had at home. I didn't start by buying plants, okay? So start with the resources you have within you. If it's in the service business, okay, like for the trainings, I started with what I know how to talk about, okay, with the knowledge that already existing is what I started with. So for you, your gifts, your talent, your skill set, start with that, but start slim. Don't start by, if you want to sing, don't start by creating a studio first. Start small from wherever you can. For the training, I didn't start by having a training room. Now I have a training room, but in 2018, I was hiring a room just to make sure that I have a product that people are interested in. And then later on, actually it is last year, a year later, last year, September, is when now I set up the training room. So start slim so that you don't start with a lot of overheads. Don't start with an expensive shop, you know, don't start with a big office, don't start with everything, you know, big, because when you start big, it means that those overheads, you have to foot them. You have to foot the bill yourself. You start slim, then you grow. Start with sales. If you don't have any sales, you don't have a business. Whether it's a service, a product, start with the sale. Then start soon. Someone said that the best way to get something done is to begin. Start soon. If you wait, there's someone who was telling me that they wanted to, what did they want to do? They wanted to start a coffee shop somewhere. And they kept on driving past there and thinking, I'm going to set up a coffee shop. I'm going to set up a coffee shop. Then one day as she was passing there to go, she realized there was already a coffee shop, like, oh, who went before me? So as you're waiting to start, someone else is also thinking of the same idea and they will start before you. The famous Mark Zuckerberg said in his Harvard University commencement speech for the graduates, he said that ideas do not come fully formed, they only become clear as you work on them. You just have to get started. And he says, if he had to understand everything about connecting people before he began Facebook, I hope you've watched, there's a Facebook video, I think it's called The Social Network or something. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember the name. But he started from his dormitory and he started with his friends. And now we are all on Facebook and doing our businesses there. But I'm saying if he had to know how to connect everybody and how the whole thing works, he will never have started Facebook. And so what prevents people from getting started and they have good ideas is just the business that the whole thing is not going to work. So start small from where you are. So are you ready to get started? Miles Monroe, the late Miles Monroe said that business is an exchange of product for value, service for value, ideas for value, talent for value, knowledge for value, program for value, solutions for value. So business is simply solving problems for value. So if you want to be successful, he said, do not seek success, seek to become a person of value. And he says, you will never be broke. So you can do all those things. You can have a product, a service, an idea, a talent, all those different things can get you started. But as you start, don't forget your flowers. Okay, I've mentioned these ones in my presentation in different words, but don't forget your flowers. Have your finances in order, legally register, organize your structures, have competent staff, have passion and creativity for whatever you're doing, build relationships for you to grow, and grow a business that is going to grow beyond you. Plan to grow beyond yourself. Plan to go beyond the founder. Thank you very much, and I welcome questions right now. Thank you for listening to me. Any questions, you can unmute and ask, and I can check the chat box and I see if there are questions there already. As I wait for the questions, if you want to do a passion test, there's a useful resource, which is the Passion Test by Janet Atwood and the Passion into Profit by Andy Harrington. And you can also check my accountancy business clinic page for the business personality quiz. Okay, any questions? Okay, someone is asking, let us run through differentiation between profit and revenue and cash flows again. Okay, then how do you get to drive? Wow. Okay, let me see which question to start with. Okay, this one's a note. Okay, fine. The first question is, okay, sorry, how do you spell that, Sinis? I don't know, Sinis. You had a question, you raised your hand. You can unmute and ask it, or you can type it in here. So Linda is saying, run through differentiation between profit, revenue, and cash flows again. So now, when you're making sales, every time you're making sales is like you've given someone your service and they've paid you for it. You've given someone your product, they've paid you for it. That is a sale. But for you to sell that product, you'll find that you bought, like now, if it is a flower business, for example, I bought the pots, I bought the plants, I bought whatever it is. Now that is the cost of delivering that product. For your service, maybe you hired a venue or whatever it is, that is the cost of delivering that service. That is what we call the cost of goods sold. But apart from that, you're running you're running an office, so you have rent, you have salaries, you have communication expenditures, you have utilities, you have transport, you have bank charge, you have all these different things. All those ones are your expenses. So when you total the sales you have made, normally it's good to do this exercise monthly. So on a monthly basis, look at all the sales you have made, then look at all the expenditures you have made. Now, do you have a balance? If you have a balance, a surplus, a positive balance, it means you've made a profit. If the figure between your sales and your, what are they called, your expenses, excuse me, if the figure is negative, it means you've made a loss. Okay? Now what happens is, the time when you're making your reports and you're tracking your sales, there are people you've sold on credit to, and there are people you've sold cash. Now the people you have sold cash, it means you have the money with you. The people that you have sold on credit, it means they have not yet paid you. And that's where the cash flow projection comes in. There is money that you do not have right now because someone has it in your pocket. There are some obligations also that you have not paid right now because you maybe don't have money. Now what happens is, you have to have a plan of saying, the money that I have right now, okay, how much money do I expect to have? If I know how much money then I expect to have over the next period, next couple of weeks or next couple of months, it means it's going to add into my inflows. But then there are expenses that will keep on also happening. Now those expenses, how much are they and how do they affect the money that I have? So that projection of the inflows coming into the business, the cash coming in and the cash going out, is what is a cash flow projection, okay? So one is the profit and loss just tells you you made a profit or a loss. So that's just a statement. But whether you have money to run your business or not, it is a cash flow forecast that tells you about that one. Hope I've answered your question. And then the other one is asking, how do you get the drive to get going regardless, against all odds? Okay, how do you get the drive to get going? I think for me, one thing, or the main thing, is my faith in God. I'm a believer. And so I believe in God, and I believe in God who gives me power to do a lot of different things. And so I read the Bible a lot, and I draw a lot of inspiration from the Bible. And every time I read this, like, let's say there's a part that says that he's the one who gives you the power to make wealth. And so, which means he gives you the ideas, he gives you the creativity, he gives you all those different things for you to be able to make wealth. And also in the same Bible, it talks about, setting a plan, having a vision. Though it may not happen right now, it might tarry, but it will happen another time. So I think the Bible is one of my greatest resources that keep me going. Even the times when things are tough, things can get tight in business, I go back to the Word of God and I find out, what does the Word of God talk about challenges? When challenges come your way, He's going to make a way of escape. So I'm not going to preach here, but I'm just telling you that yes, my faith in Christ gives me a lot of how do you say? The thing that keeps me going, Yes, and also another thing also that I do is I do a lot of planning. Like at the beginning of the year, I set what I'm trusting God for during the year, and it's a habit that I've done for more than 10 years. And what I've realized, that if I've written some things down and they came to pass, they give me motivation that if that thing came to pass, even this other thing will come to pass. So goal setting is very, very key. Setting your vision, setting your purpose, and all those different things keeps you like focused. Gives you focus, gives you direction. Some things take 5 years to happen, other things take 2 years, other things take 1 year, but the fact that they happen gives you an encouragement to continue. Someone asks, Priscilla asks, how do I start a blog? That's a good question. When I started my first blog, the accounting gardener, how did I start the blog? So someone wrote an article about my flower garden in the newspaper. Like I woke up one day and had a center spread. Of course, it's a long story that leads to that. She told me she was going to write, but finding a center spread story about my garden took me aback. I'm like, wow, so there's a lot to write about my garden. And I realized I'll buy that newspaper and keep it, and no one else will know that I ever featured in the newspaper a full center spread of Daily Monitor, Wednesday Daily Monitor. Like, okay, so my son will not know mommy was in the papers one day. So what I thought, and what I saw many people doing, is writing their stories, and they were writing them on blogs. So what I did, I went to Google and said, how do I set up a blog? And amazingly, there were many different options, step by step, on how to set up a blog. And so there are different options. You can use Blogger. That's what I used initially. There's WordPress. There are different blogging options. But when you go online to Google and say blogging options, it will give you the pros and cons of different blogging options. And then you can choose which blog works for you. But that one is assuming that you just want a standalone blog just for you yourself. But now there are many people actually who use Facebook for blogging. So you blog within another platform. You can blog within Facebook, set up a Facebook page, and you'll be blogging there regularly. You can blog on LinkedIn, on your LinkedIn as a publishing platform. You can blog in there. You can blog on different forums. But what you just need to know, where is your audience? So where your audience is, then you use a platform that of course will reach your audience out. When I started out, I used to do, because I was using Blogger, there used to be Hangouts, and there used to be communities, Facebook, Google Plus. Yes, I don't know, I think Google Plus got deactivated. But initially I was using Google Plus a lot, but I realized the people who are buying plans, the people on Google Plus were people outside the countries, who are not in Uganda. But the people who are to buy my plans were on Facebook. And so that's how I ended up going to Facebook to look for my clients there. But for consultancy, I do some of it on Facebook, I do some of it on LinkedIn, because I have clients in both places. For More and More, I use Facebook and I use Instagram as well. And those ones have worked for me. More and More, did you use Facebook page or your personal Facebook page? Yes, so for More and More, for me to set up the Facebook page, it needed me to have my own page first. So when I set up my page as Lilian, then I was able to set up a Facebook page for More and More itself as a standalone. And also the reason why I found that useful is because people who follow me, remember, for me, I'm an accounting gardener. So I talk about accounting, I talk about gardening. But my friends, they're not all flower lovers and they're not all into accounting. So it means the person who only wants plants and is only interested in plants, they'll go to my More and More page and they'll just indulge there with the plants. And the people who are not interested in plants, they just want to do more of accounting and business, they'll go to the accountancy and business clinic Facebook page and they'll just be, they have their needs there. But still, my own personal page is a mixed grill of everything. Okay, so it's a mixed grill of everything. But the reason for having the pages is so that you can have your audience demarcated, and there are people who are not my friends, but they follow the Facebook page. And they are happy to follow that. And it's easy also to do boosting or things like that on your Facebook page for your business. There are people who like More and More, they follow. More and More has like 13,100 likes and followers. My personal page, I don't have that many followers. But because there are people who are just interested in More and More, they don't care about the owner. Then they just want plans and things like that. So I think it's good to separate yourself from the business and give the business its own identity and its own life. So I hope I've answered you, Priscilla. Since you already have a Facebook page, you'll be able to create a page just for the business and for the product. And also, the beauty of setting up a page only for the product is that there is a Facebook option called Page Manager. The challenge I used to have initially when I joined Facebook is when you're online, people are seeing you online, they start side chatting you and they're like, okay, I don't feel like chatting right now. Now with the Page Manager, it means you don't have to log into your personal page for you to manage your page. So the Facebook Page Manager, I can log on and I can manage it from my phone and even from the computer. I can go to More and More page without having to log into my page as Lilian. So I can be online just for my More and More page without having to be interacting with people on my other page. And I found that good for my privacy and everything like that. And so I can fail to visit my own personal page for a whole day or two. But the More and More page, I can log in anytime and respond to the clients, and it gives focus for that particular audience. Okay, the other person is saying, please put up the passion test resources slide again. Okay, let me do that shortly. There, I hope you can see it. Actually, maybe I just to go to that. How do I move this thing? Maybe something about the passion test. It's it has a book. There's a book called The Passion Test. Online, you can get it on Google, but also it has a small video as well. So you can actually take the test. And yesterday night when I was looking to put a resource in case someone might ask, I thought someone might ask. And so I went online and I clicked the passion test. And when I clicked it and I put my address, it told me that I had taken the test in 2018. It tells me you had taken this test on 26th of August 2018. I was like, oh, I don't remember taking that test, but yes, I took the test. So you can go and you take a test. You go through the test. It's like questions. It gives you questions and you answer them. And at first it gives you your top 15 passions and narrows them down to your top 5 passions and even your number 1 passion. So it's a good exercise. If you have the time, you can do it from online. But on Tuesday, yeah, sorry, I have many stories, but yes. On Tuesday, when I sent the flyer for turning your passion into profit in one of the groups that I belong to, the person sidebarred me and asked me, are you doing the session based on Passion into Profit by Andy Harrington? And I'm thinking, I don't know Andy Harrington, neither do I know the book. So the me normally goes, I went to Google, Passion into Profit by Andy Harrington. I Googled, that was on Tuesday night. Yes, Tuesday night. So I Googled and I found there the book. There's a full book there. I should check it out. And so I'm thinking, do I have time? Because I was like, it's good for me to add this to my knowledge to complement what I'm going to share on Saturday. So I'm going there, I'm thinking, I can't read this book on top. Because remember, I've been running the trainings this week. 10 to 12, I've been running my accountancy 360 trainings, plus other things that I have to do. I was like, I don't have time to read the book before Friday. And as God would have it, I found a video where he was offering an audio version free, a free audio version. And so I subscribed and downloaded the free audio version. It's a 4-hour audio. And of course I listened to it. So if you are in service business, I'll really recommend, if you want to go into speaking business, motivational business, inspirational business, those things, I'll recommend you to go check out that book. You can get the audio version and listen to it. And that one puts, those motivational speakers, who are they called? Tony Robbins and the likes. So it just tells you how to run the template of being a motivational speaker. So you might want to check it out. Yes. Okay, where are the charts again? Where did I stop? Okay, could you please share? Where did I stop you people? Okay, please put up the resources. I've done that, Linda. I hope that's helpful. And then okay, the other one is just not a question. Then Desire is asking how to price services. Many times clients want to pay 50% after the service has been delivered, and it's time consuming to follow up the balance. How do you demand for payment without causing stress to the business relationship? Okay. There's no straightforward answer to that one. I think in every business, you have to accept that at some point, and that's why the accountants have that thing which we call the provision for bad debtors. It's inevitable that at some point, as long as you're not doing cash basis business, at some point you may have to have bad debtors, and you pray that you don't have to have them. But what you do is make sure that you have a way of validating your customers before they become your customers. Before
Lilian, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Sorry, MTN took me off. off, and I am back. Sorry, I don't need to share the screen, I think. Now you all have what you needed from the screen. Let me just put the charts on the side. Oh, I've lost the charts because I went off. Okay, I think you just have to unmute and ask your question. Because I went off, when I came back, the charts have all disappeared. If you had your questions on the chat, kindly just either retype or unmute yourself and you ask, please. Sorry.
Hi, Lilian.
Hi, Solia.
My question, I believe, was the next one. Could you please show us slide number 3 on branding your passion? And then secondly, where did you go online to create or design your logo for your company? Thank you.
Welcome. So share my slide again. You say which one? For branding your passion?
Yes, I think it was number 3, step number 3.
But, brand your passion.
Yeah.
One, So you're saying I go through it, eh? Or you just wanted to see the slide? Soleil.
Yes, it was the last one. And I'd wanted you to go into detail about look for ways to make your product more to stand out. I think that's what it said.
Yes, I went to it. I was asking you want me to go through the slide? I go through it. I go through the slide again.
No, if you could just show it again, I'll be really grateful for that. Thank you.
Here it is. Can you see it?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
And then also, where did you go to get your online logo for your business?
Yes. Now the place I'll have to have to Google it again. I think I am. For lack of, I was going to say I'm a Google addict, but not a Google addict. I am I tend to Google a lot of things. If I have a question in my head, if I don't have someone here to ask, I go to Google. And so I Googled it that time. I Googled how to do a logo. And the name is either I'll have to check it. It's either logo something, but the name is logo something, Logoni or logo something. Allow me to search it, and then I can WhatsApp you, Soleil. Yeah?
All right, thank you very much, Lilian.
Yeah, just WhatsApp me, and then I remember to Google it again, and I send it to you, or I can check through my emails. I see where the logo came from, and I can give you. And
right.
The site has it has the tools for you to create the logo. If you want to use things and combination of things and words, you can do that, and you create your own logo from there. And what I liked is, you know how the name More and More is spelled. If someone wants to try and copy it, it's just so hard to get the font. You can't get the font on your normal. I'm going to get one of them. You can't get the font, this font for More and More. You can't get that font on your normal font listing. Yeah? So that's what I like, that you unique just to yourself. Okay, another question. Where's my chat bar? Yes, is there another question that I've missed out? If I can get round to it. I'm looking for my chat bar. You can unmute and ask your question as I look for my charts.
Yes, Lilian, James here.
Yes, James.
Yeah, thanks so much. Very valuable information and insights. There was a question one around the possibility of getting these materials after this. Very valuable materials, the PowerPoint presentations. And then I think the other one I wanted to ask was around how do you grow, say, your passion such that you're on top of it, you're on top of the trends that are happening, and you remain relevant and cutting edge in a dynamic marketplace. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you, James. For the slides, I can email them. I'm assuming when you're registering, you typed in your email. So all those people who registered via email, I'll email it. I'll email the slides to you. And then how do you remain on top of your game? I think there was something I talked about. You just have to be aware of the trends. I think it is, I had this one. You have to be aware of what is happening right now in your sector. And I think for me, what has helped me for the, like if I use the flower side, now being part of the other networks, like when you go to the backyard gardeners Facebook page, you see, you know, what people are posting. And then like on Instagram, the people I follow for the Maua and More page are also like plant related businesses. So if you find where people with your passion are displaying their products or their service offering, you always find that someone has come up with a new idea that you want to incorporate and implement. If you're in the service business, like for my consultancy, so of course, networking with other accountants, networking with other consultants, networking with other people in the service industry. And I think from my little experience, I'm seeing for More and More, Facebook page works. Facebook works well for More and More. But for the professional side, the accounting side, okay, there's a following on Facebook, but I found LinkedIn. If you're targeting, if your service is targeting professionals, then your platform for interaction, the best one will be on LinkedIn. Because you'll find the people on LinkedIn, they're more of, okay, they want to grow their careers, they want to learn, you know, the service side of things. So on LinkedIn, you end up following influencers that are in the same business. You can join LinkedIn groups that are in your same kind of business. You can join, yeah. Actually, even on Facebook, there are people who are like, you'll find a group for marketing, a group for accountants, a group for finance people, a group for business people, a group for whichever trade you're in. On LinkedIn, there are also mini groups, but also you can choose to find, you have a thought leader that you're following, and then you say, okay, fine. Like there's a lady on LinkedIn who is a HR person, and she has a big following on HR related matters. So every time there's a new trend on HR, she'll be talking about it. And you'll find different people. So when you go on LinkedIn, just check the thought leaders in your field of interest and you follow them, and you'll always be abreast. You can subscribe to articles, subscribe to actually YouTube as well. Subscribe to YouTube. People keep on releasing different information online about the different services and everything. I'm not so sure if I'm answering you, but just finding information for your business. Where is it found, and keeping on following. That's how you become up to date. Have I answered you, James?
Yes, thank you very much. Very helpful.
Okay. Anyone else? Otherwise, it's 12 o'clock. If you have any other question that I've not answered, I'm not getting my charts. Any question that I've not answered?
Lilian.
Yes.
Yes. Mine was about the audiobook. Want the link to the audiobook.
The link to the audiobook for Passion into Profit.
The audiobook that you.
If you
Yes.
Google Passion into Profit by Andy, what was it called? Andy Harrison. If you Google it, if you Google that, it will lead you to his website. And from the website, because I just Googled from his name, and then I found him there. I just clicked a link for subscribing. I can look for the link and share the exact link, but I just know I just Googled his name. I Googled the book and his name, and it led me to the link. Otherwise, you can WhatsApp me, and I get it from my phone, and I drop it to your WhatsApp. But yes, you can just Google it. Another question? I don't know why I can't get my falling down here. Okay, chat box. I'm not getting anything in the chats. John, have I missed out anything in the chat box? You can let me know.
I think you've covered most of them.
Okay. So if you're still online here, you can ask a question.
My question.
Yes. Yes, your question.
Okay. Yeah, my network is a little crazy. Thank you so much, Lilian, for the presentation. There is always the fear that comes with starting slim, like you said. Maybe the startup capital can be not enough for the passion that you have to start that particular project or business. So do you have to, do we start with that little that we have, even when you feel it is not in line with the startup capital is not enough for your business? So how do you start? Do I start slim? Do I wait for the money to accumulate and I get? And you told us that getting a loan, that is another crisis for yourself. So how can you avoid the fear that comes with starting slim?
Okay, avoid the fear that comes with starting slim. How do you avoid that fear? Wow. I'm trying to see how to explain to you how to avoid the fear. But where is that slide? That's slim. I think for me, you know, when you feel like there's nothing really to lose, maybe because I had, at the time when I was starting, I had a job, but still, when you're starting small, the reason why I'm saying, I'm not saying you have to start small, but the reason I'm saying for you to start small is so that in case something goes bad, you're not losing a big investment. What you're losing is small, you get? If my business didn't work out in the first couple of years, what I would have lost was not a lot, okay? But the fact that small did not mean that I stayed small. So I started small, but one of the things that I did is I kept on, every time, so all the money that was coming through the business, I'll invest back, yes? Like if I've made a lot of sales now, I'll use the next money to bring some more stock, add something new. So I have actually grown my way more organically. Organically means from the sales, the profit that I'm making, I decided at the earlier time, I wasn't going to pay myself a salary, build the business until it's able to pay me the kind of salary that I was hoping to get from it. So instead of paying myself, I was using that money, you know, to keep on expanding the business, If the money you have is too small to start at all, what you want to start, then you find that you may have to do something else to get money for that. You get, like, for example, a lot of some of the money that I've put in more and more, like someone invites me to go and speak. I speak, they pay me money, I go and buy something. So it's like from the speaking engagements, I'll get some other money and I put in the business. From other different things, do other things to help you build another business. You understand? So if you have like your dream business, but you don't have the resources for it, you can do some other things to get generate the capital for what you ultimately want to do. But also you can borrow money from your family because if they're willing to give you without charging you interest. But of course, the challenge borrowing from family, it means you have to pay, because if you don't pay, you end up losing a relationship. That's the other challenge with that. So you can borrow, but try to get the cheapest sources possible. But why I'm saying you start small, you start with what you can. Excuse me, you can, when you go and do the passion, when you go and do the passion test, you'll see a video by Janet Atwood, and she was saying how she started by selling sandwiches, and the story, just a 5-minute clip, and she was saying that her and her husband, I think her husband had stepchildren, and so they needed to bring the stepchildren to their home. And her husband was a painter. And at that time, the painting jobs were not so many. So by the time they brought the children to their home, they had only $100 to their name. That's the only money they had. So what did she do? She said she used the $100. She went to the market. She bought things for making sandwich. So they were staying near a beach. So she made sandwiches. She said she made like 100 sandwiches. She went to the beach and started selling sandwiches. And she's saying that's where her entrepreneurial journey started, by selling sandwiches. So when she sold, of course, she was selling the sandwiches at a profit. So when she sold the sandwiches, of course, she now ended up selling more and more and more. But it started with just the $100 that she had. For me, I started with just 300,000. But of course, initially, the money I needed to buy the pot, I started with 190 something thousand. The logo I bought was less than 50,000, but I just had the other extra 50 as a buffer. But now after I potted, I started selling the plants. Now from the money of selling the plants, I kept on growing the business. So I just made sure that I'm not, as we call it, eating the money from the business. I was allowing the business to grow by itself. I don't know if I've answered you.
Yeah, you have.
Thank you. Another question I see in the chat. Johnny, you can read for me the next question. I can't get my chat. Yes, okay.
I think that's basically
No other
from
question.
let me read this one. From this presentation, is it evident that one must have discipline in handling business affairs? Be ready to take calculated risk, take time to think and reflect on business ideas. Please, will you share notes with us? That was from Harriet.
Okay, so I will share these slides with you, but in terms of running a business, you have to have a discipline of record keeping. There's a lot of disciplines that I think your discipline in your personal life will affect the discipline and how you run your business. So if you are naturally indisciplined, even in your business, the indiscipline might cost you. So there's some disciplines that you have to have of, record keeping. Even if you don't feel like doing it, you have to do it. Making sure that you separate yourself from the business. The money you've made the sales from, you don't go and use it at home. Having the separation of your money from your business. The flowers, and I told you, don't forget your flowers, These ones. You don't forget, when you're leaving this room, leave with your flowers. Those are my flowers I've given you. Don't forget your flowers. And those flowers form the foundations for your business. You might be at different stages for your business, but you need that discipline. And you don't have to have been born an entrepreneur, but you can learn to be an entrepreneur. There's so many entrepreneur courses, there's so many entrepreneur videos, there's so many entrepreneur books, there's so many entrepreneurs that you can learn from. Remember, we talked about getting a mentor for your passion. So yes, it needs discipline. It needs having those things in place. It doesn't mean that you'll have all of them in place overnight, but once you know that you need to have them in place, you start one day at a time. You build a business one block at a time. Okay, any other question? Okay, if there's no...
I think that's it.
Okay.
I've shared the links for the passion test and the passion into profit.
Oh, thank you, thank you. You've shared them on the chat,
Yes.
Okay, those who are asking for them, you have them on the chat. Okay, any other question? Okay, so thank you for accepting the invite for this conversation. I hope you learned, and I hope you're going to share your business journey. You're going to share your business journey with me as we go forward.
Thank you so much, Lilian. This was very inspirational. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Lilian.
Nice seeing all of you, and I hope to catch up with you.
Thanks, Lilian.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Thank you, Dita. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Polite. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Lilian.
Linda, thank you for making me run this session. You asked for it last week, so thank you.
Thank you, and you responded super quickly, so that's really good.
So,
an entrepreneur has to seize opportunities before they disappear,
True,
Yes.
very true. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Joel. Thank you.
Thank you. We can't even leave. I think it's a habit for your trainees not to leave.
You're still staying.
I know.
You have a question, Josephine, or I answered your question?
No, I did a comment in your private, but I'll WhatsApp it as well.
Yeah, okay.
I'll send it by WhatsApp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. I think my chat
No worries.
was appearing, but we can continue the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. Yes.
Okay, let me leave finally.
It's okay. You can stay. Joel, you had any question? Bye, Solea. See you on Monday. Okay.
Bye. Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.
Okay, bye. Sophie, I hope you have no question. James, I hope your questions are all answered. And Desire, thank you for joining. Polite, your hand is up.
I'm just happy, Lilian. No question, but just happy. Okay. And I have two entrepreneurs to be here. They've enjoyed your session.
Oh, that's good.
And thank you so much.
Thank you for attending.
Okay, my dear.
You can leave at your pleasure.
Okay, bye.
Sophie, nice having you. And I hope your entrepreneurs are going to share their businesses. Okay. Okay. Polite, you have a question?
It was up at the start before I asked you.
Okay.
But I'm sorted now.
Okay, fine. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you so much.
You can leave. Joel, you can leave as well. Desire, you have a question? You're still on? Okay. I think. Okay, I think some people don't want to